Today I'll be showing you why this alarming retirement savings statistic isn't actually as scary as it sounds. Over my years helping clients plan for retirement, I've discovered why these attention-grabbing savings numbers don't tell the whole story about retirement readiness. That's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you why focusing on the $1 million figure is misleading. But here's the thing, if you've ever looked at your retirement savings and thought, is this enough? You're not alone. The truth is, many people panic over the retirement number without realizing that the way they structure their finances matters just as much, if not more, than the total balance itself. Let's get right into it. Why do people panic about the retirement savings amount? The media is filled with bold headlines about how much or how little people have saved for retirement. A commonly cited statistic states that only about 3% of Americans have over $1 million in their 401k, which can make many people feel like they're falling behind. But this number, while striking, doesn't mean what most people think it does. The biggest driver of retirement savings anxiety is the false idea that there's a magic number for retirement. Many people assume that if they haven't hit 1 million, 2 million, or some other round number, but that's simply not how retirement works. Your financial security depends more on how you structure your money, not just how much you've saved. According to studies, roughly 3% of Americans have over $1 million saved in their 401k. Yes, that's true, but this stat is misleading because it ignores key factors like the other sources of retirement income that you have, like your pension or social securities, assets outside of 401ks, or your actual spending needs, which vary widely from person to person. This is why focusing solely on a savings number can lead to unnecessary panic or poor financial decisions. Most people are paralyzed by focusing on big account numbers instead of their actual needs. One of the most common mistakes that I see people get fixated on is whether or not they've saved enough based on arbitrary figures instead of determining what they actually need to support their lifestyle. For example, a retiree in a low cost of living area with a pension and social security might be perfectly comfortable with $500,000 saved, while someone in a high cost of living area with no guaranteed income might need significantly more in savings. People fall for retirement portfolio mistakes that limit their retirement timing and place too much importance on the saving figure. This brings me to the bigger problem, not just how much you saved, but how that money is structured, invested, and withdrawn. Even those who do reach their savings goals often make crucial mistakes that undermines their financial security. And there are 4 core reasons that I see this happen as an advisor, all of which impact every single advisor out there. The first of which is not understanding your required growth needs. One of the biggest mistakes that I see retirees make is not understanding how much growth their portfolio actually needs to sustain their retirement lifestyle. It's not just about having a big balance, it's about ensuring that the money works for you. For example, let's say that your goal is to sustain your lifestyle and leave money to your kids. To do that, you might need a 5% investment return each year throughout retirement. If your portfolio is invested too conservatively, too many bonds, not enough growth assets like stocks, then you could fall short. And on the flip side, if you don't care about leaving a legacy and just want to avoid running out of money, your required return might be closer to 3%, meaning you don't need as much risk in stocks. Why does this happen? A lot of people don't think about investing this way. They either follow conventional wisdom like a 60-40 stock to bond mix, copy what their neighbor or coworker is doing, or stick with the same investments that they had while they were working. So how can you avoid making this mistake? At a minimum, calculate how much income that you'll need to replace in retirement, the portion that won't be covered by your Social Security and your pensions. Divide that amount by your total assets to determine your burn rate. If you want your portfolio to maintain its purchasing power over time, you need an investment return that's equal to your burn rate plus inflation. For example, if your burn rate is 4% and inflation is 3%, then your minimum required return would be 7% annually. If you have a 30-70 mix between stocks and bonds, or mostly bonds, that return may be unlikely. This is why blindly following a savings number isn't enough. You need to know what your money actually needs to do for you. Now, I know that this gets a bit technical, so if you feel overwhelmed or want a second opinion, click the link below to schedule a complimentary call with me. Now let's move on. The second mistake is focusing too much on income instead of total return. Another mistake that I often see is an overemphasis on generating income, whether through dividends, interest, or rental income, at the expense of total return. The problem with this is that retirees often fall for the income illusion, believing that investment income is safer than relying on capital gains or growth. But overloading on income-producing investments can actually increase your risk of running out of money, believe it or not. What's the better approach? Use income investments strategically as a risk management tool. Focus on your required return rather than just generating cash flow, and balance income and growth investments to give yourself flexibility. Mistake number 3 is letting emotion take the wheel. One of the biggest pitfalls I see is retirees letting emotions dictate their investment decisions. The most common bias, recency bias. People place too much importance on recent market performance or forget long-term trends. Those who have experienced strong returns overestimate their risk tolerance and take on too much risk. And on the flip side, those who experience a short-term market drop become too conservative too soon. The result? Either approach can jeopardize long-term financial security. The fix? Recognize emotional reactions before making financial decisions. Stick to a structured investment strategy that's aligned with your actual needs. And finally, mistake number 4 is overinvesting in bond funds. Bonds, in general, are crucial for stability, but many retirees over-rely on bond funds to gain this bond exposure instead of individual bonds. Why does this matter? Bond funds reinvest the proceeds when bonds mature within the fund rather than allowing you to spend down bonds as they mature if you need to. When interest rates rise, bonds lose value, just like in 2022 when stocks and bonds fell simultaneously. This can be problematic if all of your bond money is invested in funds where the proceeds are automatically redeployed into other bonds. You're essentially unable to truly mitigate this risk that's known as interest rate risk. The fix? Carve out a portion of your bond portfolio and build a bond ladder with treasuries or certificates of deposit or CDs for your short-term spending needs, maybe over a 3 to 5 year period. And use bond funds for longer-term bond exposure to hopefully earn a greater return versus short-term, lower-risk bonds without having to accept the greater downside volatility exposure on your bond money than what would be contained in stocks. This simple strategy prevents you from having to sell investments at a loss when both the stock and the bond market is down in value. Before we wrap up, just remember, retirement isn't just about how much you've saved. It's about how you structure, invest, and withdraw your money. If you want me to analyze your retirement strategy and show you how to make the most of what you've saved, click the first link in the description to book a complimentary call. I'll see you in the next one.